Hey, you not glad the day's over? You not glad the day's over? You've had a day, haven't you?
Miller Day.
Baby.
I knew it hit me eventually.
Yeah.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the Elizabethton City Schools Board of Education April meeting. If everyone would, please stand, and Dr. Gardner will lead us in a moment of silence and a pledge to the flag.
Okay, let's have our moment of silence. Thank you. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'd like to recognize some folks. First off, I was told that we are to add two people together. So would Mr. Travis Hurley and Miss Christy Malone come up? Dr. G, you want to talk about this?
Sure. Thank you. We were so honored and proud to have Eastside Elementary represent the school system, the State Comptroller's Office, and Christy, you can talk a little bit about what you've done over the last many years, and they were recognized as a school of distinction through that, and number one in the state, so if you'll talk a little bit about that.
I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to let her talk about it because she's the one that rolls up her sleeves and she does all the work for it. I just got to ride her coattails to Nashville, so it's pretty good.
He had lots of fun taking pictures in the big boardrooms. With the Tennessee Financial Literacy Commission, I have been vice chair of that for about 8 or 9 years now. And with this program, we have been able to enable students to become better financial, better awareness with money. So they make better sound decisions with money. They are more financially aware. There's a program that we actually implement in our curriculum that is a digital program where the students go through a variety of modules, and through those modules they learn how to save money, how to make a budget, how to balance and just make better decisions in regards to college savings, and it just opened up a door for the communication at home as well as in the classroom, and it was just a really good experience for the children to learn. The treasurer came to visit along with the rest of the board members from the Tennessee Financial Literacy Commission, and they got to see our classroom do it in action. They were able to see the kids learning through the modules and to ask them questions about what they had learned, and it was just a really good experience for them. And so when we traveled to Nashville, they recognized 3 schools from the region, and one of us, obviously, we were one of the schools to be recognized, and so I thought it was a really great honor to receive that on behalf of Eastside.
Thank you. Let's give her a round of applause.
I thought Mr. Smith might take care of it. But anyway, it's a pleasure to be here. And a lot of you guys have probably heard that the Bartleby entrepreneurship students have been doing a lot of neat things this semester, and we got a lot of them here with us. And they wanted to recognize Hannah Roten and her business, Local Harvest Delivery. And we have Jonathan Browder here, and he's doing Creative Comfort Classroom Furniture. And Colton Grindstaff, he's here with Heart Natural Productions. And, of course, we also have Dylan Nordby and Chandler Mullins, who started the business Southern Strength Sports and Fitness Wear, and Jeff Mundy and Tyson Vance, Torch Ministries. Unfortunately, they had some sporting events and things they couldn't be here. But are they going to do their pitches?
Hopefully maybe next month. If
okay.
we're allowed to, they would like to.
We'll do that next month?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you for that. But anyway, and they might have some business cards on them. So if you want to talk to them about their business or something like that, get you some food or some things that they're working on, you might want to see them after the thing's over. But anyway, thank you guys for all the support and supporting the kids and what they do. They got some good stuff going on. So thank you.
Are the kids going to talk about theirs like they know everybody? So tonight we're hearing from the students that are here, and the next month we're hearing from the other ones, right? Perfect.
Okay. Just our business pitches?
Yeah.
Yep. Ms. Perkins has your mic.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah Roten. I'm the founder of Local Harvest Delivery, and that is a grocery delivery service that's based in Elizabethton. So if you live in the city limits of Elizabethton, it's like a subscription box. So every month or every week, you would subscribe and you would get a box of locally produced groceries like peanut butter, eggs, pasta, just stuff that's locally produced instead of supporting large corporations like Walmart. So everyone, picture this. You're 7 years old and you're walking down the street and you see a piece of candy, a treasure, right? You're so excited. And it's on the ground. And then you go to pick it up and you hear your mom say, "Don't pick that up. You have no idea where it's been." So how many times have you heard that phrase in your life? Don't eat that. You have no idea where it's been. That's been wherever. You have no idea where it's been. You have no idea where it's been. So then flash forward, you're in the grocery store, and you're getting a piece of bread, a loaf of bread to take home. But your mom isn't there to tell you that you still have no idea where it's been. So so many people these days shop at grocery stores, and they have no idea, no concept in their head of all the people that touch that bread, all the machines that cut that bread and put hormones and chemicals into the bread and eggs and products that they buy. So through my company, Local Harvest Delivery, you always know where your products come from and that they're fresh and healthy. So that's the gist of Local Harvest. And if you're staying till the end, I do have some business cards on me. And my business is actually live right now. Our first delivery will be going out in a couple of weeks. So you can shop right now at localharvestdelivery.shop and then a backslash. So you can go on there and order like a sample box for just 1 week, or you can make like a month subscription or a couple month subscription. So if you're interested in that and you live in the Elizabethton city limits, you should definitely look into that. Thank you, everyone.
Good afternoon. My name is Colton Grindstaff, and my business is Heart Natural Productions, which is originally started off as, doing art classes in the outdoors, which I'm still passionate about. I still love the outdoors. I still love art, and that's a passion of mine. It's always going to be a passion of mine. And but recently, the business, we take all these side projects, and I actually have like 3 projects going on right now. And one project I'm doing is the Elizabethton Walking Tour brochure. I'm doing that with the Elizabethton Arts and Cultural Alliance, which is a local group that's trying to beautificate the arts and the downtown of Elizabethton. So they're a really big partner of mine. And another project we're working on is the Art of Escape. We're designing their new room in Johnson City. It's a room it's a room about phobias. So if you're into phobias and stuff, that's the room we're designing. So it's always a passion of mine to do art. And Elizabethton is one of the most beautiful places in the world, and we take advantage of that every single day whenever you wake up and you see the beautiful mountains or even just the town that we have. So my project and my business really wants to bring out all the inner artists and everyone in Elizabethton. And we're having an art class May 26th, Veterans Day weekend, and all veterans will get $5 to $10 off. And I'm having a local artist at our school do it. She's a sophomore, and I figure that's a really good way to get artists at our school, because we have so many talented kids at our school that really their art and their passion and everything needs to be showcased. So I figured that's a really good way to get her some exposure. And yeah, if I have flyers, I have business cards. If y'all have any questions about my business or anything I'm about, just get with me after the meeting.
So it's with the Bartleby program. So they've done a tremendous job, and Alex and Jessica, who's sitting back there, they've done a fantastic job there with the entrepreneurship class this year with Bartleby. And we actually just went to Tusculum. Actually, the president invited the Bartleby students over to Tusculum just the other day, just last week, and they did a fantastic job. I mean, it was amazing. They presented in front of the whole group there. They had the Bonner leaders there. They had students there. They had professors there. They had the vice president, president were there. They got to go around and spend 15 minutes sitting in the president's office talking to him individually. And then, but they did their presentations, and afterwards I happened to walk back into the presentation room to thank everybody, and everyone had left except for the few of the professors and everything that were in there. And they didn't see me walk back in, and they said, they said, boy, weren't those students just, and they used a word, but then awesome, you know, like they were just, it was, you know, and they didn't see me, you know, and the other professor said, oh yeah, it was unbelievable. And then I talked to the vice president, and he said that after they were getting up there presenting, because they're so poised and they're so great at their presentations, that one of the professors turned back to the vice president and went like his head blew up because he was so amazed at how fantastic these students are. They also went to the Shark Tank, and I think Hannah didn't get full recognition last month because she had some family situation there, but she was actually won $1,000 at the Shark Tank. There was 300 students across the whole east of Tennessee, and she presented and competed against those 300 students and won and was awarded first prize and got $1,000 there. And Colton did a fantastic job there too. Both of them were honored there at the Shark Tank. So these teachers have done a fantastic job. We're just continuing to grow all the time with Bartleby. It's getting bigger and bigger. We've got a lot of huge plans ahead. Sadie Whitehead was there. She did her presentation also at the Tusculum the other day, and she was amazing like she always is. And so she does community improvement class from the fall, but she's continued with Bartleby Junior all throughout the schools. But thank you all very much for the support. Thank you, Alex and Jessica, and thank you for all the students being so fantastic.
All right, it is time for citizens to speak in accordance with Board Policy 1.404. We've had two people who contacted Ms. Perkins within the 7 days asking to be put on the board, but then we had another individual who asked to speak tonight. So we really want people to feel heard. We really want you to know that we're here to listen. So if the board is agreeable, we could suspend our policy for tonight and allow people to speak. So if the board would be agreeable to that.
Make a motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. What I would ask anyone who wishes to speak, if you would keep your comments to 5 minutes, and we'll allow 30 minutes for that. But the first person who asked to speak is Miss Sadie Whitehead, and Sadie's a Bartleby community founder, and she has handouts that she's put in there. Sadie, would you get up there, if you would, state your name and your address, please?
Let me just adjust this for a short
Yes,
moment
you
real
should.
quick. I'm Sadie Whitehead. I am a senior member of the Bartleby Community Improvement class, and I have a enrichment program with that I've been doing with Eastside Elementary. But today I'm here to talk to you about something completely different that still has to do with education, but has nothing to do with the project that I already have in place. Through Bartleby, we've gotten plenty of awesome experiences, and one of those experiences is I, with Caleb Skeen, another member, got to go to Washington, D.C. during the rally, during the March for Our Lives. And we also got to enjoy a roundtable discussion with other students from different places in the nation. And we got to talk about our schools and our communities and how we feel. And I personally feel very happy in my community, and I feel very safe here. I think that we have a beautiful place to live and a safe place to live. But it was interesting to hear the other students and their experiences. And so through that, I kind of realized that I need to broaden my scope a little bit. And I think that we could do that as a community as well, to look at our world has definitely changed, and our schools should definitely change with it. So with that blossomed this idea to create safer schools, exclusively Elizabethton High School. These would the things that I have in mind. First of all, the implementation of student ID badges and a security system in which you would have to buzz in to the school, and that would keep an account of our students as they come through the school. And also, if we had individual scanners in each classroom, it would keep up with attendance for each class, but it would also keep up with the location of each student for each classroom. This would be great if we had every sensor in every classroom, because not only would we know where the students are during class, but in situations like an assembly or a lunchtime or class changes, whenever our students are kind of free-flowing and it's kind of a fluid moment where our students are traveling, they would be able to go into any classroom with the teacher in the sense of a fire drill or a lockdown. They would be able to go into any of those classrooms, scan in, and we know exactly where every student is at what times. If they also were obligated to clock out of schools, we would know which students were off the school off this campus. That way we would know if these students are leaving school when they're supposed to in situations like early release, or if they've gotten signed out. But we would also know this student hasn't buzzed out, this student's not in class, looks like they're skipping school. And then we got to call some parents. But with addition to that, to create a safer school mentally and emotionally, I think that we should implement essentially counseling sessions through partnerships with mental health professionals in the community, such as Ballad Help or any private practices. We would be able to bring in mental health professionals to talk to our students. I think that this should be mandatory counseling, just so every student feels like they get heard. We can catch early warning signs for any mental disorders that may be a learning barrier for them. Because, let me flip over my statistic for y'all. The National Alliance of Mental Health actually said that half of the 1 in 5 teens or young adults live with a mental illness. And that, of course, doesn't stop whenever you're a teenager. Of course, you live with that throughout, whether it be depression, anxiety, or what have you. But half of these students, half of these teenagers or young adults actually develop this condition when they're 14. And for those of you who haven't been in a school in a really long time, that's your freshman year. So not only are you having to deal with, oh my gosh, high school and seniors and all this stuff, and you're trying to get adjusted to this new situation, but you're also dealing with this chemical imbalance and this emotional imbalance within you that becomes a learning barrier. It's impossible to have that anxiety and be able to take a test to the full abilities. It's impossible to have depression and be dealing with problems at home or in your life and be able to focus on what your teacher's talking about. Through these partnerships with these mental health professionals and through these counselings, we'll be able to give the students what they need, if they need the proper treatment, if they need somebody to talk to. And this would allow the school and the mental health professionals and the parents to all work together to help out that student and make sure that they're able to learn to the best of their abilities. Of course, these ideas sound great, awesome, let's check it off. But of course, there would be a lot of time needed to create partnerships with mental health professionals if you all decide to take this path, or if you all like the idea. But then also security systems would be expensive, but I think that if we really looked into this, I think it would be a safer way to make our high school safer for our students, and also make our students feel safer in their classrooms and make our students feel safer in their schools. Thanks.
Thank you, Sadie.
Thank you, Sadie. I'm so glad you and Caleb got to go to that Washington March.
Next, Mr. Eddie Pless requested to speak.
My name's Eddie Pless, 428 Division Street, Elizabethton, Tennessee, 37643. I appreciate the fact that you're allowing me to speak here tonight. I asked to speak with you concerning my service and dismissal as an employee of Elizabethton City Schools. First, I'm not here speaking for or on behalf of Mike Wilson, even though our lives and our families' lives have been affected in a very similar way. He's a dear friend. I've learned a lot from him. He's worked as hard and put as many, if not more, hours than anyone in our system for several years. He's missed so many important events in his children's lives, all for his job as an Elizabethton High School athletic director, most of it to save the athletic department some money. He deserves much better. I had looked forward to working with him for a few years, and I hate that I won't get a chance to do that. I've been a public educator for my entire professional life, almost 34 years, most of it 29 and a half years spent with Elizabethton City Schools. I've taught elementary, middle, and high school level. I've served as an assistant principal, a CTE director, an athletic director, and principal at Elizabethton High School. After that, I left for a year and a half and went to be the assistant director at the Tennessee College of Applied Technology for a year and a half, where I served mostly over the budget. I returned to Elizabethton City Schools for the past 7 years in a supervisor's position, where I was responsible for testing and attendance, the pre-K program, and other items. What I want you to know is that I'm the same person today that I was through those 34 years. I didn't change when I became an athletic director. And that makes me feel like somebody thinks I changed. I look forward to this season of my life. I'd worked hard for it. I look forward to moving from full-time employment to part-time retirement and eventually to full retirement. I'd hope to do that sometime in the next 5 to 10 years. There is no way that I would ever do anything intentionally to jeopardize that. I want to say, too, people in this community have been so kind, and I want to say publicly how much I appreciate what they've said, the kind words, and what they've done for me. But I'm frustrated, and I'm very frustrated in the way this was handled. There's not time to get into much detail. But there was a dismissal, a press release concerning an investigation, and then a press release of 2 athletic directors being terminated with our names attached. 71 years of service ended just like that. All of this with my knowledge that that's a fraction of the story. Understand, my family has to find out and sees that every day that it's on there. The only way I know to answer that is that I know exactly what took place in my situation. I've been truthful in answering every question I've been asked, even though there's been attempts to ask other people to check my truth. But I've been truthful in everything that I've been asked. Every decision I made in my 6 months as an athletic director was done to ensure that the program functioned, and I mean that it just functioned. It has to happen. And that every dime that came in to support athletics through tickets, concessions, gifts, donations, and money out of mine and Mike's own pocket went to do things to support the athletic program and to support athletics. I did things the only way that I knew how in the short amount of time that I had to do it. In my opinion, this was a fixable situation. It's an easy, fixable situation at one point. But at some point, a decision was made not to go that route, and here we are today. I wish there was more time to elaborate on that, but time's short. Dr. Gardner, I feel like if you had come to speak with me sometime early on, one-on-one, things might have been different. I hate that we never did, and obviously I may be wrong. Decisions like this have a huge impact on communities like ours. There's so many connections. The chairman of the board's daughter will be the maid of honor in my daughter's wedding in 6 weeks. There's no way I would ever jeopardize that relationship. I hope the board will feel like that they can come to me at any time. I would love to share with you at least part of what I think's gone on. All 4 members of our family have been affected by this situation. We've all been employees of Elizabethton City Schools. 3 of them technically still are. This is our family, and it's been our family. It was our life, and it was our life together, and I hate that part of my family, or my life is gone, excuse me. The impact of what this has done to our family, you'll have no idea. I would never have known until I stood on this side. I want to say a special thanks to my wife, for her support and being the tough one, as she has to report every day to Westside Elementary School in this system, and she does a great job. I've heard things, and I'm getting ready to close. I've heard things like this: we need to make sure no one's ever treated like this again, and I agree. I've heard things like there will be training, and I agree. I hope so. Neither of those has much impact on me, but I certainly hope so moving forward. I've heard it's just a job, and the context as that was, I'm not fighting cancer. I haven't lost a loved one, so in that respect it is a job. But it was much more. It was my life. I've also heard it will be okay. I'll be okay. God's good all the time, and I'm thankful for that. But you can't say that unless you know what the it is in that statement. So I would be careful about throwing that around. I've worked 34 years trying to do two things. These are things that I was raised with and things that motivate me and bring me the most joy. And that's to help people and treat people the way that I want to be treated. I hope somehow in 34 years of experience in public education that I had a chance to do some of that. Thank you.
Mr. Jamie Campbell called and asked to speak.
I didn't realize that I'd sat absolutely as far away from this as you could get when I got here. Madam Chairman, board members, Dr. Gardenauer, thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. Ms. Perkins, thank you for taking my call today. I appreciate that. I'm a Cyclone. I attended Elizabethton City Schools from first grade. There was not kindergarten, but from first grade through high school where I graduated. I lived in the county, but my parents knew that the best educational opportunity available for me was in city schools, so they paid tuition for me to attend. As a result, I may be one of the few people who can say they've attended all three elementary schools, T.A. Duggar and Elizabethton High School. Both of our children graduated from Elizabethton High School. My wife served for nearly 10 years at the Josh Wandell Early Learning Center. My daughter Rachel teaches first grade at Eastside Elementary. The only blemish on this otherwise stellar record is that my dear wife attended and graduated Science Hill High School. But I'm thankful that she had the good sense to marry me and convert to being a Cyclone. I tell you all that just so you know I am proud of our school system and the reputation it enjoys across the state. Unfortunately, that feeling of pride was rocked recently when I heard the news of Coach Wilson and Mr. Pless being removed as co-athletic directors. Since only Mr. Pless is listed on this evening's agenda, I will keep my remarks focused on him. I've known Mr. Pless for over 40 years, going all the way back to high school. His wife, Kim, grew up as my backdoor neighbor, and two of our children are the same age, Katie and Emily, and graduated high school together. We attend church together. We've been on trips together. I like to think that I know Mr. Pless just about as well as someone can know someone without being family. I can say without reservation that as long as I have known him, his character and integrity have been irrefutable. He is absolutely one of the finest men and best friends I have ever known. So you can imagine the shock I felt when I read his name in the paper in a negative light. I immediately told my wife that I would not believe Eddie Pless did anything wrong unless I saw it on video. And in today's world, I'm still not sure I would believe it. I know that sometimes those in leadership positions must make difficult personnel decisions. I have a job where I have to do that from time to time. It's never fun and never easy. I can't imagine adding the extra layer of having to make those decisions knowing that every one of them will be paraded through the media for everyone to second guess. I do not know the details of what led to the decision to remove Mr. Pless and Coach Wilson, and I really don't need to know. What I do know is that I would bet a year's salary that Mr. Pless didn't decide after nearly 35 years of faithful service in Elizabethton City school system to just throw that all away by doing something knowingly wrong. I would imagine anyone who knows him would say the same thing. Maybe there are policies and procedures that need to be evaluated and tightened up in order to make certain there is never the opportunity to question the integrity of those entrusted with the well-being and education of our children. I know it's impossible to keep dishonest people from doing dishonest things, but I also know it's possible to allow honest people to do their jobs and afford them the trust and the respect they deserve. I hope you will take another long look at the situation and circumstances that led to the removal of Mr. Pless and Coach Wilson. I believe they have earned that after a lifetime of service to the citizens of Elizabethton. Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak? Thank you all. We're going to move on to the consent regular agenda. If anyone would like to leave, we can do that now, and then we'll start back up again. So it's time to approve the consent and regular agenda. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
We spoke briefly before about potentially adding items 8 through 14 together, and taking those together on the regular agenda. Would there be any problems with that? Would anybody have any concerns about that? Take a look at those and see.
We did that last month. That kind of helps speed things along. And if we do that, we can still talk about them.
So I would amend the motion to have to reflect that items 8 through 14 will be taken together as one.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions or comments? All right, item on the floor is to approve the consent and regular agenda. Items 8 through 14 will be read as one item. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Next up, I believe that would be Dr. Gardenauer.
We really have had a good month. We have had a lot of work being done, just like what we have with Mr. Hurley and our teachers being recognized. The renovation that happened down with the Connie Baker Training Center, it is almost complete, and so we're just buffing and waxing the floors a few days ago, and all the equipment's moved in. So we're going to be getting a date for an opening, for a grand opening for that, and I think it's well deserved. And so we have the community, the Douglas community will be coming in for that.
How many computers do you think that will house?
What do we have, 25? 22.
Nice.
Will Miss Baker's daughter be informed of?
She'll be informed, and that's what we'll be waiting on to see when she can come in to be able to do that. Tonight on the agenda, we have, as far as the old hospital property goes, we do have a contract with SNME. They're going to look at the physical layout and also look at some core sampling on there. So we're happy to have that quote tonight. And along with that, we're happy to say that Sam Laporte made a sizable donation to the project, and we really appreciate his support and his help with the community. The ETSU PASTA program we've relied on for many years. They have gently used computers that they give us after their life at ETSU. They're on a short cycle, but we had 25 that they brought back this week, so we really appreciate their ongoing support. We had a Bartleby Vision meeting this week, just trying to get ready to get an agenda for a meeting where we can actually have the group get together and start talking about what we want to do over the next several months. And one of the things that really came out of that meeting, Terry led that. We talked about doing a student forum as well as where they would tackle issues that we're working on as a body here and things that are important to them. And also that would be chaired by the board liaison. And also we're going to be working on the board in general for Bartleby. And I know Ms. Peters and probably Rita have been our people that have spearheaded that. They'll be on the board. And then we'll be looking at the teachers and some community leaders to really look at making decisions based on the money and things that go on. So they'll be having regular board meetings to take care of that. Coming up, I know that in your packet this evening in the FYI section, there are some sign-ups for training, and especially the training for this summer. So make sure you pay attention to those. I'd love to have as many of you that can go as possible this summer for the Law Institute, and we'll have good representation there. Tyler, would you talk a minute about the Imagination Library?
Yes, Imagination Library's banquet, which honors Teachers Hall of Fame, comes up next Saturday, the 28th of April. We're going to honor Seth Deloach, Travis Smithville, and Forrest Holt from Elizabethton Schools for Teachers of the Year honors, Norma Carr from Kingburg, Jennifer Frazier from Central, and Irene Batchelder from Cloudland. And then our two Hall of Fame inductees from the city is Patsy Goddard and also Carl Cates, who's just recently deceased. And then we'll honor two from the county. But I do have tickets. Love for y'all to come. It's at 6 o'clock at TCAT next Saturday evening. I think Debbie Googe is going to provide entertainment. So hopefully some of you can come to that event.
Make sure I put that on my... Okay. I want to say Becca and Dr. Newman both worked really hard on our book bus along with Miss Morgenstern. And who else did we have on that? We had several of our elementary, Miss Nave, all working together, but Becca did a lot of the fundraising for that. And today we can announce that we exceeded our fundraising goal for the book bus.
Wow.
And she's just worked really hard. So thank you for all your hard work and your connection with the community. And we had one large donor come in here right at the very end and really put us over the top. And they have also been working with us on Back to School Bash, which we are doing very well fundraising wise on thus far too. So congratulations on that, and thank you. The last thing is, the quote cyber attack that happened today with testing. One of the things, we made a great decision last year thinking about what we would need to do, knowing that there may be a few glitches still with the overall program, so we chose a lot of ours to be paper, which I think we may continue to do until we're forced to do otherwise. But they're working on that. There has been a minimal disruption in our school system. We're going to try again tomorrow, depending on what the guidance from the state is, and then we'll try to move forward with the process as we need to. So, but I appreciate everyone's. Our day started out with a power outage, and it was a cyber attack, and then by the end we've
we've had several. We've had an interesting day. We'll just say that. So several issues, but it's been good, and I appreciate all the principals and their hard work and their focus on making sure that students were safe this morning during that, and making sure that we were on schedule. You all were out and about, so thank you. And also Chief Shaw, who is always out and about, taking care of business at schools too. So,
All right. Mr. Wampler, what's happening at Harold McCormick?
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Gardenauer and the board, for allowing me to speak on behalf of Harold McCormick Elementary. I always find this pretty easy to talk about good things that are going on around the building. We wanted to not discuss any bad things tonight during this. There's no bad things. I'm just kidding. Going on at Harold McCormick. We're very proud of the year we have had thus far, and very appreciative of your support along the way. Our new boiler is working great. Used it today, by the way. And we are enjoying the extra room we have out back with the addition of our new property. Can't wait to see what that brings in the future. We appreciate your support, you supporting our back gate project that I understand is coming along. We hope to move more students out the back for dismissal, and that will remove some congestion off Cedar Avenue and keep our students, ensure keeping our students safe in that process, obviously. We've embraced our new RTI 2B program, which is response intervention to behavior. This includes weekly and monthly celebrations to reward positive behavior around the building. Our PTAC has worked with our students to provide an awning over each exit from the gym going out towards the parking lot. I don't know if you guys have been down there for a function yet, but that's great, working out well. We're very proud of the entire school for going above and beyond when needed for projects inside and outside of the building. Our show choir has performed off campus as early as last week at the Senior Citizens Building. Our K-Kids were just featured in the Kiwanis newsletter for collecting and sending school supplies to some of those affected by the hurricane in Texas. They delivered 45 treat bags to Nicewanger patients, 1,200 cans of food to Hell Community Ministries, and have worked to help sanitize their school during the time before we purchased the Apex, the machine that Dr. Gardenauer Maintenance was. We really appreciate that machine, but before that came along, our K-Kids helped us a lot in that area. They picked up litter on Tweetsy Trail on more than one occasion. Our school collected over 3,000 books for the Betsy Bus Book Drive and raised $458 for the Ronald McDonald House. I would like to acknowledge Alexis Parlier specifically, who is a second grade student with us at Harold McCormick. She represented us well by earning third place in our district by collecting $94 for that charity. Peyton McGee, Ava George Wilbur, Aubrey Sparks, Grace Whaley, and Caden Treadway were recently recognized by the Disabled American Veterans Auxiliary for earning prizes in an essay contest about what we love about America. Beth Deloach and Christy Perkins have brought in $2,000 this past year in classroom money from grants that they applied for. And Amy Coe was recently recognized as Teacher of the Week with WJHL. As you know, we began our state testing today, as Dr. Gardner was talking about a while ago, and much work and preparation has been accomplished leading up to today. I believe we're ready to represent our school district and state well. As I stated in the beginning of my presentation, we appreciate our school board for your continued support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wampler.
All right, Hannah, tell us about the SCOPE conference.
So I attended the SCOPE conference on March 6th, so it was a while ago. I was going to talk about it at the last meeting, but I had to leave early. It was in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, at the MTSU campus, and Miss Foster took me. She's the drama teacher. If you guys don't know her already, you should. She's a really great lady. So we went in the morning, and there were some leadership workshops, and then we had the whole day kind of leads up to this debate at the end. So we broke up into groups, and there's one group that's just seniors. So the way that it works is all the other groups are debate teams that are freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, and after they debate, everyone else can take out their phone and they vote for next year's officers based on who did the best in the debate. So since my group is all seniors, we kind of just went for it. So in our debate topic was we had to argue against cyberbullying as a zero tolerance offense. So that's kind of a difficult thing to argue against, but we actually won by the largest margin. And then some of the other topics, there was ironically a topic about corporal punishment where you argued for and against that. So it was a really fun weekend, and it was really a privilege to go, and I enjoyed it. And I would definitely suggest next year, if at all possible, if we're going to nominate the liaison as early on as we did, I think it would be really great for the new liaison to go with the old one, because I think if Milena could have come, she would have learned a lot. Like, I feel like if I had gone last year, I would have learned a lot more and been a lot more forward at speaking mine, because I remember at the very beginning I was a little timid, and I think that if I had been there and seen all that stuff last year, I would have been a lot more prepared. So I think that's, if that's possible, that would be a great thing for the liaison to attend.
Good idea.
I noticed one of the topics was a later school time, start time. I bet that one was tough to debate.
Yeah, that one was interesting as well. It was, I think our group actually, since we only debated one topic in the actual debate, we debated all of the other ones just in our room for fun. So we actually ended up coming to a conclusion, since it was unofficial and we didn't have to have a winning and a losing side, we decided that kind of similar how Elizabethton has early release for seniors, you could choose between having early release or like late arrival. So because one of the biggest arguments was that there are sports events after school and like extracurriculars, so if you wanted to sleep in, you could and then just come a little bit extra, or if you had stuff after school, you could come early and leave early and go to that stuff after school. So it was an interesting weekend. I enjoyed it. And
everybody's looking at Mr. Boatman.
And
not for you, it's students. Yeah.
And I just want to thank the board for sending me it as well.
Sure. Thank you for representing us. Cool. Anybody else have anything they want to talk about before we move into the agenda? All right. Let's tackle this agenda. First item is approved contract with S&ME for completion of the limited phase 2 environment site assessment services on the former Elizabethton Hospital property located at 901 West G Street in the lump sum fee amount of $9,000. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, this particular item is what we discussed a few minutes ago, and the fact that it came out at $9,000, we had an initial partial estimate of somewhere around 25.
Yeah.
So the fact that they felt that we needed a limited one is great, which means hopefully we may not have to do a whole lot of remediation if that comes to it. So it also is under the amount that we put in the lease agreement with the city, where we would go ahead and move forward with that if the board was willing. So it kind of worked out great. So we'll see what it yields.
Oh, that was a real fun read.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Anybody have any questions or comments about this? All right. Item on the floor, approved contract with S&ME for completion of the limited phase 2 environment site assessment services on the former hospital property in the lump sum amount of $9,000. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. All right, Tyler, relax. I'm going to read all these in one lump. So feel free to daydream. Item on the floor is we're going to no, everybody.
Oh.
Everybody gets to daydream through 8 through 14. Approve on first reading and adoption of board policy 1.501, visitors to the school as revised. Approve on first reading and adoption of board policy 4.605, graduation requirements as revised. Approve on first reading and adoption of board policy 5.118, background investigations as revised. Approve first reading of board policy 5.501, complaints and grievances as revised. Approve on first reading and adoption board policy 6.200, attendance as revised. Approve first reading of board policy 6.4051, glucagon and diazepam gel, is that Diastat, as proposed. And finally, approve first reading of board policy 6.4052, opioid antagonist, as proposed. Can I get a motion to approve?
Could you repeat those?
No, I cannot.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All right, who wants to talk about any of these?
Is the change in 1.501, is that because of the Raptor project?
1.501. Let's look at that.
The visitors to the school. I was
Yes.
reading that, and I thought that was because we adopted the RAPTA project, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit more, a better guide than signing a book.
So if there's no driver's license,
Once you're in the system, you
You're
get a
out of luck.
sticker every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the principal would make a decision based on what the business, they would have to be about school business, but they would make a decision, probably work with that individual, and focus on what they could do to help them.
so yeah, so my only concern is I'm okay with it. I just wonder if we need language that says if a valid driver's license is not available,
That's good.
then the principal shall determine access, or shall be
Yeah.
given the authority to grant access, to authorize access.
Could we say picture ID if they don't
I
have
think there's something in there like that, isn't there?
I'm looking at it. I
Similar
don't.
to that?
No.
No.
It says the principal or other authorized person has complete authority to exclude from school premises.
Mhm.
I guess my concern is I don't want them to get in trouble for not following policy, because policy doesn't say that they have the authority. It says they have to have a driver's license. And, you know, I know some states get in trouble for the driver's license to get to vote, and so I just don't want us to have discrimination potential for someone who doesn't have a driver's license, and especially a parent who doesn't have a driver's license who needs access to talk to a teacher or their school. It says their valid driver's license too. If my driver's license is not valid because it's, you know, outdated, I forgot to
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just trying to look for a way to have a in the policy.
We'll have Dr. Newman write that down, and we'll talk with Deborah about that, and we'll have her give us a little
Sounds good.
language. to take
Makes
care of
sense.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Good point. Good
catch.
point. Yep.
So are you asking for this one to be tabled, this specific policy, till
Um,
next meeting, so we can have that
Let's
research
defer that to
completed?
the next meeting, and then
Okay.
have it with that language in there about authorizing the principal. I think somebody else will have to second that, though.
What if the principal's not available?
Or his designee.
Or his designee.
Designee.
There you go.
Okay, so.
Solve that.
All right, so we have a
Good job.
motion to remove item 8 until next month. Can I have a second? Or table it? No, if we
Second.
table it,
Second.
yeah. Thank you, guys.
We have to vote on that.
Oh, yes. All those in favor of moving item 8 to next month, please say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, so that one.
And we've approved the others?
Well, we're just
Didn't do that
removing
yet.
8 till
Okay.
next month. Yeah,
Okay.
to May. So we're still talking. Anybody else want to talk about graduation, background investigations, complaints, grievances?
Just scanning them real quick to see if there's anything else.
No, you do that.
Legal eagle.
Well, most of this is.
I don't know why I didn't catch the other one before, but it just,
Yeah.
it just hit me.
That's good. Jumps
TSBA
out at you.
language
Yes.
Update.
That's why I thought about putting them all together, but I didn't catch that until we were reading it, and it just hit me that if I don't have my driver's license, I think though that the intent is clear, that they need to have a valid driver's license that we can run through the Raptor, because that's how we're going to catch those and provide for safety. But there should just be a way to override it. I don't want them to have to take it upon themselves and say, yeah, you can, and then somebody get in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah,
Any
well,
what?
State.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
cool.
Call for question?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So we shall vote on basic, so it'd be 9 through 14, correct? Okay.
Yes.
So item on the floor is to approve items 9 through 14. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Mrs. Perkins, did you say we needed to stay and sign something? All right. Next regularly scheduled board meeting will be Tuesday, May 15th, 6:30 here in the Mac Pierce Boardroom. Don't forget the banquet next Saturday night. See Tyler for tickets. And I guess that's it. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Have a good evening.